This could be huge. Manages to find them.
Well, some excellent player content there, getting to see a different side of some of the key icons of our scene, Dino and Elevate. I would not trust Dino to cook me anything, I can tell you that much, Dev. But I will tell you what I would trust him in, cooking up some strats. That man, he's got a book that's deep, and I think that this one may be in the books already with Elevate.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, on the Elevate side, I really hope that Digital doesn't throw his Siege games as good as he throws the Ultimate Frisbee.
Oh, the worst part is, you know he does. You know he does.
Ah!
We saw it.
Poor Ditch.
We've seen it Digital. You can't be throwing like you do
Poor
in
man.
Frisbee. That's of everything as well. Of everything. Ultimate Frisbee. What an absolute legend. But we get to move on and isolate this game a little bit more. We, of course, just saw Rufflecopter and Rhythm finish up. And now we move on. Elevate taking on the Knights. A game that we've seen actually a couple of times now. I think there's been 6 maps from these two teams played in the last 5 or 6 months. With not varying results per se. It's been Knights through and through, but it has been decently close from Elevate. Is this the day that we see them crack the egg? Is this the day that the omelette is cooked?
It's absolutely possible here for Elevate. The big story for this roster is the fact that they've had a massive, significant merger, and it is with, of course, Meloncat disbanding, unfortunately, the former Noble roster, and we've had Fisho Guy, that star support player from that squad, come and join the Elevate roster. And, of course, we also have Miloska from previously Meloncat also helping as part of the support staff. And I mean, I've spoken to them recently, and it's totally, you can tell that they're totally putting in their all to help elevate this team to the next level. No pun intended.
Oh, God, we all do it.
It's just there, man. It's right there. But the players I'm going to be watching out for tonight are Worthy and God Legion. God Legion always been an absolute nutter, but yeah. Worthy is just cracked, man. He is so on form right now. We saw him play in the Rectum and Gauntlet. He was so hot there. Yeah. And I'm hoping that he can continue that form into the season.
One thing as well, you know, mentioning Milo and Fisho Guy on Molosca, for those of you that would know him under that alias, Fisho Guy has always consistently had that one big play in a game for me. He's always good for one clutch or one massive performance, whether it's a 3K or a 4K in a round. And sometimes it comes at a pivotal moment. So really, really curious to see how he fares in what is I think we've seen 3 maps from them in the last 4 weeks. So this lineup we've seen a fair bit of them playing against Knights. But of course, Digital, the ultimate Frisbee god. Oh, I just can't believe that. Let's hope he doesn't throw, Dev, as you were mentioning. Let's hope he stays consistent. The Knights on the other side of the coin. I mean, this team has just continued to improve game after game, season after season, to where we are at now, which is, I think we can confidently say, with what's going on with Wildcard at the moment, they are the best team in Oceania.
Isn't that just insane to think of? What a 2020 the Knights have had, coming from at the start of the year being almost nobodies in the Pro League. They were one of those kind of bottom 4 teams that you wouldn't really see crack into the top. And we saw Pro League go away. We had 6 Masters, still didn't really perform to their potential. And then it came to that Oceanic Nationals, those majors, and these guys stepped it up massively. They actually won the 2020 season for Oceanic Finals, which was held in January. And it's just been insane, which is funny because you think they lost some of their most experienced players. Stiggs was poached over to Fnatic, and Strider hung up the mouse and keyboard and retired. And so now it's really just Dino and Hayward from that original roster that remain. But one of the big changes that I always want to talk about is Sage.
Yes.
Sagen was he hadn't had a lot of experience in T1. He was kind of brought on. I know Knights had a keen eye for young talent, and he's come in as the in-game leader for this squad, and he is just so good at that role while also fragging out.
It's just something that we were all sitting there kind of guessing what was going to happen with Sage coming in. I think it was last season, so OCN 20 stage 2 of 2020. We were all looking, going, okay, what does this guy have? What can he bring to the table? And he has impressed through and through. So crucial to this roster now. Another one as well, just Haywood. Haywood in general has been incredible for Knights and continues to impress every single time that we see him on a map. So that is definitely one of the key factors for me. Haywood turns up, the game's pretty much over. But just with the trend, the direction that Knights are headed, I do see them taking over the status that Wildcard have held for so long. The status I'm talking about is winning pretty much everything. Wildcard won everything, man.
That's it. And that's the crazy thing for Wildcard, is that this year was, or rather last year was so good for them that they won absolutely everything. They had the most dominant 12-month period they've ever had.
Yep.
And then right at the end of it, they have two massive blows. They lose the 2020 finals to the Pittsburgh Knights, and then just a week ago, they lose Diesel, who's unfortunately had to step back from the game for some time, and they bring in their coach to substitute for him. It also happened outside of the transfer period, which is super tragic for Wildcard, but it's left this wide open opportunity now for Knights, who'd already showed that they could beat Wildcard at their strength back in the finals, and now Wildcard is weaker. It's Knights is there to take that trophy. We'll see whether they can do so.
That's the thing. We're putting the pressure on them. The target's on their back. Now let's hone it back in. Let's make it a little bit more specific. Elevate and Knights, of course. We've already seen them play 3 times in the last 4 weeks. Where are we headed? What are your thoughts in terms of what maps we may see, James? You're the spreadsheet god, and so I'm going to leave this one up to you.
So, best map for Elevate is Clubhouse. They ban it quite a bit, though. It's funnily enough, according to my stats, their second, or they were tied most banned map, but also I haven't seen them lose it in a single game. They even beat Wildcard on it in the Wrecked Omen Gauntlet. They've beaten Noble on it in the past, so some strong performances there. Knights not too bad on it, but we've seen them play a really good Oregon in the past, so they might try and steer us towards that. Feel like Elevate's going to ban it, though, because it's one of their less preferred maps. I think that if in terms of looking for common ground and maps that both of these teams like, you're probably looking at your Coastline, your Cafe, or that Clubhouse that I already mentioned.
Or, let me throw a spanner in the works here. Chalet. I keep hoping it's going to come back out.
Well, we saw them play Chalet against each other on Thursday in APAC South, which was a 7-4 to the Knights. If I'm Elevate, you're probably going to end up banning it tonight.
You wouldn't want to let that one slip in. Let's have a look. Let's bring these vetoes up right now in front of us, and we can determine where we're going. Clubhouse, you're a god. You're a spreadsheet god, Dev. You've called it, and that is where we lie. This, I mean, like, statistically speaking, this has to be Elevate's map, right? Is this a win for them?
Well, the funny thing is it came down to Knights, right? So Elevate gave Knights the choice of Oregon or Clubhouse. Oregon is a terrible map for Elevate statistically. Haven't seen them win it once. Whereas for Knights, it's a good map for them. But Clubhouse is a good map for Elevate. So I think Elevate are expecting to go to Oregon here. Maybe they've been working on it in the meanwhile. Knights subverted that by picking one of Elevate's strong maps. Knights would rather go to a known quantity that they know Elevate are good at, rather than taking it to potentially uncharted territory. This is quite a bold move from the Knights, in my opinion, to pick Clubhouse. But what's great about it is it means it's a map both of these teams have good results on. Both of these teams will avoid each other, and I think it's going to make a good show.
I think that's a really good point that you've mentioned there. The fact that, you know, like we know Knights to be an incredible team on Oregon. Also, Chalet being banned out in the last step. There has to be thought process behind this for Elevate. They would not have just left Oregon in like that, especially after what we've seen from Chalet so far. It tends to lean into some aggression, to some of those roam-heavy plays. And I think that Elevate could have adapted to that a little bit better than maybe Knights have, especially after them playing. So the fact that we go to Clubhouse, I am bamboozled. You know, if I'm looking at that from pure stats, that bamboozles me that we've decided to go there. And I think that you've summarized it perfectly. Elevate may actually be the team that's caught out here.
Yeah, which is funny because it's got to be that this stuff happened behind the scenes for Knights on Clubhouse, because their most recent time they played the map, they lost it 7-0 TQ confirm in the 6 Invitational quals. And
Yikes.
earlier in the same tournament, they lost it to a Japanese team, Yoshimoto. And that was a close one, 6-8, but it's still a loss, right? And not to like an APAC North team. We'll see which way this goes, but I can't predict it at this point, Rob.
No.
It's a tight game for these teams.
It certainly will be, and it has shown to be anything but a barn burner in some of these occasions. 3 of 6 maps have gone the full distance in regulation. We've seen 1 or 2 overtimes. So you know full well, and there's Dino with a weird ass smiley face, man. Brings it out on all occasions.
You know, I'm just going to have one extra little fun fact that we haven't talked about. These are the 2 teams from OCE that have items you can go and buy in the game.
Yeah.
The Knights. You can go and you can get their gun skin for the G36C and their charm. And for Elevate, you can go and get their gun skin for the Commando Mozzie's assault rifle. That's super cool. And funny that you mentioned Dino's little winky face, because there is a little bit of a hidden little feature on the gun skin for Knights on that G36C, and it may or not be on under the rifle. If you have a look on the bottom, see if you can find it next time you're in game.
Little spoiler, hey, little cheeky
Little
Easter egg.
spoiler.
It's more of an Easter egg, isn't it, than it is a spoiler. That's for sure.
Yeah.
We just saw the ban phase. Of course, we've seen Habana and Thatcher banned out, so not as common for the Habana ban as we see for the Maverick ban, but of course it's still as effectful, especially when you're looking down in basement with Church and Arsenal. You know, so many of those hatches, it's going to be a little bit of a pain in the backside, but Maverick is left wide open here, so you'd expect to see it to be a little bit easier.
That's completely true, but the bang-on thing about Habana there, and the reason why you would ban that is, since the Habana change has come through, you can shoot 2 pellets at a time instead of 6. It completely nullifies the validity of the impact trick on the basement. So it used to be you would bring 2 or 3 operators with impact tricks, and you would just continue to impact that kitchen hatch. But when Habana's wide open, that's just not viable. She can keep putting 2 pellets on at a time. She do that 9 times. And there's almost no way that you're bringing all 5 operators with impacts to try and counter that Habana. And so that's why you ban it out, and then you lean into that. You continue to impact trick that kitchen hatch, because in this case, the only ops that can open that hatch are Maverick and Ace. Maverick's never going to do it because he'll just be vulnerable to a C4 when he's up there in close range. So you've got to do it with Ace, who needs 2 canisters to detonate on the hatch. So as long as you use impacts to destroy 2 out of his 3 canisters, that hatch isn't getting opened. We see 4 impacts brought to the table by Elevate, 1 already used, but 3 in the pocket, thanks to Digital and God Legion. So I think that's going to be a strong part of the strategy here for Elevate, denying that kitchen hatch.
Early on, taking a lot of the early fights. Vast somehow catching Josh out there. Don't know whether that hasn't been droned correctly, whether Vast has just had information that potentially Knights weren't ready for. That's a massive start, Dev. That's what you want if you're sitting on Elevate.
No doubt about it. Nice little black eye from the Valkyrie as well. Helps enable that. The thing is here, it's not so much, I wouldn't call this a hard roam or a heavy roam from Elevate. It's not like it's your full SSG strat. Oh, I mean, maybe it is something. Oh, yeah, okay. I take back everything I just said. While they haven't reinforced a lot off-site, they do have the castle barricades, and they're utilizing that to enable this roam a little bit. While they have, I believe, almost completely fallen back, given Knights the rest of the map to deal with.
And obviously with pre-placed drones, Dino's being given that information. There's no chance he goes there with that kind of information, or without that kind of information. So they pretty much nullify that CCTV roam. As you said, they're backing away, and it enables Knights to now start to fight, start to open up vertically and put the pressure back onto the side of Elevate. Really good time in terms of wasting here, Dev. But Knights aren't holding back.
The 4v5, I still wouldn't count them out. Does start to look like they're going to go for this kitchen push, though. Does Dino still have many ace charges left? Are they just going to ignore kitchen? They're going for a church push, actually. Sage does so much damage, and Hayward finishes off the downed player. Here it is. It's not a kitchen push after all. Fully focusing here on Church. Will play a bottom. What? The plant's going down. They're wasting no time. Fisho's on for the flank though, but he loses that fight. And now God Legion upstairs. Does he have what it takes to retake this? Lovely headshot there. And about to find a second. The player pre-fires, and Dino wins it out. Finally, Vast goes down. And what a comeback from the Knights.
There is something succinct about how Knights attack, and you can just see it in the way that they make their moves. Just the second they drop into Moto, looking for those initial fights and enabling that first kill, or at least for Digital to be injured there, it just gave them so much more confidence to continue to push. And the big thing for me there, the big talking point, is Fisho Guy on that flank. Had he have found that kill onto Hayward, who I assume was the sledge, that would have completely ripped Knights apart. They would have lost that control at Moto Hatch, and they would have been able to collapse like they were about to. So at the end of the day, Knights do an incredible job at clawing that back from a 4 versus 5 with everything that they'd lost.
Very impressive. This is Knights at their peak, and they're just continuing to show how strong a team that they are. Even from losing that initial player, like you said, just so good at that flank watch, and a really nice, simple execute strategy from Knights onto Church. I really like it. Sometimes you just simplify things, and that gets the job done at the end of the day. Pretty early plant going down as well with 45 seconds still on the clock. As we turn our attention to the future, it's a Cash and CCTV next up on the chopping block, and we're going to have a little bit of a rehost.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, it's early days, right, for Elevate?
Yeah, very early. Wouldn't be stressing at all. I mean, good signs to begin with. Slowly dwindled away toward the end there, but definitely no. For me, there's nothing to worry about if you're Elevate. I mean, I'm an optimistic person, so maybe I'm not the best person to talk to. I think if we were to talk to Digital though, knowing. I mean, let's not talk to Digital. He was the first player to go down as well. I feel like there's just a trend being set for Digital here. The poor guy is just getting absolutely blitzed from the commentators every single time he's on the map. But
we have fun doing it.
We do,
so
and it's all in good heart. You know, none of this is sour toward him. He's an absolute legend.
We wouldn't do it if we knew he couldn't take it.
No, exactly. And hey, he gives it back. He gives it back just as well. So it. I do enjoy the personalities of this scene. You know, Dino, who you would definitely say is a little bit drier in his approach to the banter. Even he can get around it. You saw him before with his cooking. It's good to see that side of them, and I think Oceanic Nationals is a great opportunity for them to show that. Not that I want to bat on personalities too much, but it does really feel like the scene's been coming together for, I would say, the past... at least since I've been in the past 2 years, the progress of this scene, and not just in terms of their play style, but also in terms of who they are, it's just continued to inflate. And we're now at a point where I think everyone's proud of what we're putting together. So I think for Dino, sure. Digital, all of these guys, just they make this product what it is.
Yeah, one of the things I love about where Oceania is at the moment is it's amazing seeing the development of these players, not only professionally in terms of their their brands, and they're really working on themselves as professional players. In game, they're just getting better and better, but also we're getting to see the more human side of these players. Like Digital, for example, man, his personality seeps out from him, and it's the same case for Dino. I remember the first time I met him would have been when the Australian operation came out. We had a little bit of a party for the Burnt Horizon season.
I remember that.
And Dino seemed like such a shy guy. And here he is telling us all about his cooking adventures and having a grand old time. The winks come through in chat. He has completely come out of his shell.
You know what I'd even say? I don't even think they were adventures. His cooking is not an adventure. It's a disaster, Dev. He's talking about glass plates just cracking everywhere.
I like how he said, and there was blood all over me. I'm like, oh my god, that really went places fast, man. That's not what I was expecting.
And then he's talking at the end about, you know, cutting up food and don't go too quick because you cut yourself. And he's talking blatantly about like what's going on? What is going on? It's just it is so much fun to be able to see these people continue to push the boundaries a little bit in terms of their personalities and come out of their shells. And I think that it's, you know, that content that we're going to continue to see throughout tonight, and I'm sure throughout the entirety of Oceanic Nationals. It just bats home really what is being done behind the scenes, because I know for a fact how much effort the ANZ Rainbow Six team have really put together for this. And I don't think they get enough credit, Dev. I don't think they do.
Yeah, they're good people. Good people. And if you want to talk about exciting stuff coming out of the players, next up we do have Wildcard versus Order, which is going to be bundles of fun. And if Order win, we'll get Specker on for the interview. So if anyone wants to see Specker, I think you got to be rooting for Order. That said, Vinny's also a lovely chap, and we'll see him if Wildcard win as well. So I'm excited. Like, I'm almost equally excited for all of the interviews for today's matches as I am for the games, because there's some really eloquent players and some just absolutely hilarious guys who come through as well. So I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
I think majority interesting characters. That's for sure. It's one way to put it. I think you've got Vinny and Dino, who I would say a little bit more clear cut in there. You know, Vinny's got. Yeah, no, Vinny's got a bit of character. I will say this, like I was about to say vanilla, but Vinny has definitely got a lot of character about him.
Yeah.
And I think what we need to do is we need to squeeze him like a lemon to get that salt out of him, you know, to get the juices flowing for him, because I know that he is an absolute meme lord when we need him to be.
He certainly has the potential. I think he just tries to keep it professional, and we're going to strip that down. We're going to get rid of that. And we're going to show the raw, unfiltered Vinny to you guys.
Good fun, actually. You know what?
Yeah,
He's that lad. I tell you what. After a while, I think that if we just batter and bruise him down to the point where he has to show his true nature, we'll have bundles of fun with that. Now, we have just been given confirmation. Of course, the rehost is almost complete, or near to. That's all right. But we are going to be starting from 0-0. So that's a big revelation for us. Starting 0-0. However, the mindset for Elevate, you still lost the round, you know, regardless of whether it's on the board or not. It is something that can affect you. But like we were saying, I mean, Digital is pretty optimistic as well. Even in losses, he is very gracious about it. So I do feel as though if there's one team that's going to be on the receiving end of a bad mentality, it is absolutely not going to be Elevate.
For sure, yeah. They're lovely people, and they are very... You know, Digital's the kind of guy that's just always gonna get you laughing in the Discord channel or in the TeamSpeak. He's a hilarious dude, and yeah, starting from 0-0, I think that's great. Obviously, great for Elevate because they lost the first round and they get it back now. But it's a good warm-up round for both teams. In particular, if I'm Knights right now, like, you can't just say, oh, well, this is really good for Elevate because now Knights are put on the back foot. No, I mean, Knights, the only thing that really stopped Knights that round at all was that early aggression from Vast, and that's completely red now. Knights are going to be a little bit more careful. They'll expect that from Vast. So I think that in this second round, it's even more likely that Knights will win it compared to the last round. That round was so solid from the only mishap is something that I think they can predict and counter pretty easily. Yeah,
right. I think the biggest, the most blaringly obvious issue was Vast just finding that early pick, like you're mentioning. I think so, that can only happen once or twice, unless, of course, we see what Rafflecopter did. I thought, okay, I'll be completely honest, in that last matchup, I thought that Boydie going off was going to be a 1 or 2 round thing that didn't continue to affect kind of the rounds as they played out, but I was really wrong. I will definitely put my hand up and say I am wrong there for that. So maybe it is something that Elevate can lean into, is a little bit more of the aggressive play style, trying to find those early engagements. Just with the way that Knights play, and their tendencies, they're just so methodical, Dev. They do their due diligence on nearly every approach. So we will be going back down into the basement, and that will surely give us a little bit more of an indication now whether that was the one-off for Knights or whether this is going to be a reoccurring issue for Elevate.
So we get in here, we can see same kind of strategy taken by Elevate once again. People like to call it the SSG roam. I don't even know if SSG do it anymore, but a lot of teams have normalized this extended information denial and time wasting strategy. There's our Snap Fitness community vote, Rob.
Yeah, that's the one. And make sure when you get a chance, if you want to be a part of that vote, you know what, I'm not even going to give you a chance. You want to be a part of this vote. To do so, make sure you head over to R6 Esports OCE on Twitter, as well as Snap Fitness AU on Twitter. That's where we're going to be doing these community votes. Make sure you go ahead, chuck them a follow. That way you can stay up to date with all of those votes. And it gives us a good indication as to what you think. And I would have to say that the community is bang on there, Dev.
So, Rob, are you going to be getting ripped when we get these Snap Fitness memberships? Because I'm thinking of doing it. I just want to be like Raven, you know?
You know what? I've been trying to, get ripped and lose the gamer bod for so many years now, and Snap Fitness, I think that's what's going to enable me. Maybe we're going to take it to the next level.
You know what? Don't you work for a soccer team?
Yeah, but I'm lazy. That's just what it is. I'm lazy. But I know that with Snap Fitness, I'm going to be on the path soon enough. And me and you, we're going to go on a fitness journey together.
Oh, yes.
And we are going to get jacked. You watch. Raven will have nothing on us by the end of it.
I'm so keen for that. Just about as how keen Knights are on this roam clear so far. Look at that progress they have made. Dino already in con. Risky position to put your ace player, your hard breach, especially with how instrumental those Selmas were in the last round. But of course, step one, before you can even think about using those Selmas, is the roam clear, and 3 roamers currently are in abundance on the map. Actually, I think Digital's gone downstairs, but still 2. Sage watching this rotation here from inside strip. Worthy teasing this idea, just barely missing the player. Is the peek gonna come through from Hayward? Oh, the drone spots him. Oh, Hayward misses, what's that?
He almost gets a haircut in return, but that was so close there. Hayward, just a whisker wide of finding a couple of kills. Potentially just the beams giving... Maybe it was Worthy looking for that contact. No, he was on the first floor. Never mind me. Look at this. Dino again just taking main stairs. The second they know that they've pushed them back and they have that space, bada bim, bada boom, Knights capitalize. They've got Moto hatch open, and it looks like this attack is looking eerily close to what we saw in that last round, Dev.
Well, this is the pivotal moment for Knights. Ooh, using the Electric Claw to deny that wall. Vast makes a play. That nade may well have cleared the claw. There's still a mute jammer though as well. Worthy, my god. Elevator picking Knights to pieces. 24 seconds to go. This is certainly not what the Knights were expecting.
Well, whether they're expecting it or not, they have to readapt, and well, Hayward finding a kill, that starts to make it look a little bit more doable. Hello and goodbye. Only one player left, 5 seconds. He is running out of time. Fisho guy finishing him off, and now it is Elevate that turn the tides.
A good start here for Elevate, and already between that round and the rehosted round, we did see a little bit of an adaptation, if you can call it that. Those Electric Claws and Mute Jammers placed on that church wall. We saw Hayward struggling a little bit to try and nade that off from above. There was a breach though. I wonder whether it was the Maverick who breached it open. I have a feeling that was what we saw. Maybe it was a shot from Dino, or maybe Elevate had the church wall pre-opened. I didn't quite catch, but it certainly did not pan out for Knights. Completely fell apart there in the mid-round. Players just dropping piece by piece, and now Elevate taking that advantage as they move into their second defense.
All our umming and ahhing has led us to here, Dev. We theory crafted as we were in the rehost. And I think the big thing for us, obviously going back to the 0-all mark, kind of... it has definitely given Elevate an opportunity to
Yeah, for sure.
tidy things up, and it's exactly what they've been able to do. And as we head into it now, that gym defense extension into CCTV. But I just don't for a second discount Knights. Now, one thing I want to keep my eye on is their drone economy, because it always feels like they just have so much intel with the Knights. And I'm... Cast a curse. Just never mind me. Don't even worry about me, Dev.
Well, Knights now have a chance at redemption, and this gym bedroom's attack always starts over here on CCTV. Juicy making short work of the wall over here. Nice little line across. Should be unreinforced in just a moment. There you go. Nice and easy does it. If Elevator going to try and play aggressively here, doesn't look like it. They're just going to bide their time. Wall finished off by Josh. Nice use there. Drone goes immediately in, pings out the deployable shield at top red. Very heavy hold here from Elevator. A lot of utility invested, and it's on Nice to start to pick it apart.
How many times have we seen this position absolutely dismantle that push into Garage? Has he gone undetected? That's the big question for me. Seems as though there's no real intel of it just yet, and it kind of depends on how long he decides to stay here as to the engagement. Josh more worried about red stairs than he is behind him. Worthy doesn't have the information, so he backs away, and God Legion fast, my goodness, just like that, you blink and you'll miss it. A bit of a crunch in cash there, Dev.
Don't quite know how that came about, but it ends us in a 3v3. Vast escapes with his life just barely. Knights very much separated. A player on the balcony, a player in cash, and Josh below. Very difficult now for the Knights to rest and recuperate, but it's on Elevate now to hold firm. Great usage of the nade there. Perfectly dismantles the Vulcan shield. A lot less cover now in the objective, and this is going to all be determined by a pick. Josh and Sage can start to push on forward. Cautious of that logistic angle. They know there's no one close thanks to the lifeline. Those two players paired with Hayward on the windows. This is the push for Knights. They have to start finding these picks. Woo! And that's one for Knights. A great job there from Hayward to punish that. Likely called out on a drone. 30 seconds left. And this 3v2 also has the health advantage.
Digital, it's your time to shine. But Fisho, guys, good for one. They double down on the second. Sage, though, this is what we were talking about. Don't give him an inch. He will take a mile every single time. The 2v1. He'll secure the Knights' second round. My word. Way too close. It's one apiece now. And it's back on Elevate.
Another massive round and a big clutch there for Sage. We highlighted him in the pre-show as that IGL player, but also the player to step forward and push on the Ash and win those situations where the team is looking dire. It certainly should have been a win for Knights in that 3 versus 2, but big step-ups from Digital and Fisho, only to be met with the R4C on Sage. Massive clutch to get Knights back into this. They certainly lost the momentum after that rehost, but they firmly grasped it now.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
It's too close to call, though. Way too close. And highlighted at the beginning, we'll continue to talk about it throughout the day. It's individual plays that can really turn the tide there, and Sage just stepping up I mean, you can't even call him the newest member anymore. He's been there for so long, but just such a pivotal role for Knights. Someone to lean on, a shoulder to cry on in some instances. And they will be very happy with the performance that he's put in there. Now, on the flip side, coming so close to a second round on the defensive half so early on. You know, Elevate, that may come back to haunt them, and it'll be something that they look at. So definitely mentality would have to be a little bit frustrated, but I think I'm playing a little bit more into the mental side of the game than I am the physical.
It's moved over to Cash CCTV now for Elevate. Jim was close, but too close. And we'll see if they can do a little bit better here on Gym Bedroom. Knights have shaped up a lot of different locations. Usually you'll see most of the players just focus on that main wall. It's really on Juicy here. He's got to do the hard work. With that cheese grater effect done by Elevate, it makes it so difficult to get this clean line from the Maverick. So Juicy's going to be patient, take his time. He gets the job done, and Josh is here when he thinks it's safe. He'll bring out the lifeline to remove the soft part. He does so, Juicy falls off, and you can just tell Knights have dry run this 1,000 times.
So effective. And it's something we always highlight with Knights, is just how together they look. Worthy, main stairs, the flank could be on, but again, a team like Knights, it's extremely hard to try to capitalize on that. They're generally so well versed. They've only lost two drones, a minute 30 in. Now Worthy's going to look to make his mark. They haven't been notified yet. He
Where's
can
the
get
flank
in.
watch?
He
knows!
They know. God, they're good. They do not miss a beat, Dev.
Wasn't that just beautiful? As soon as he got to the top of the stairs, two players lock onto him. He's caught in that crossfire. Worthy, he was a hot player coming into this season, but certainly not looking too hot right now. God Legion wants to make that same flank. We don't know where that drone is, but 100% there is a drone here, and Knights have someone on it watching and ready, but is this a tease for the execute or the execute itself? They're just so close to making their move here. 45 seconds to go, and Knights just encircling this bomb site.
Again, Sage, just the information there. God Legion never going to win that fight out. The swing's too strong. Juicy adds to the damage. And with only two left, it's Fisho and Digital left to anchor on the site. It's an onslaught from Knights in round number 3.
Doesn't get much better than that from the Knights. They have stepped up. And they are playing out of their brains right now. So coherent as a team, so perfect. Honestly, I know people kind of say that as something a bit toxic, but I don't mean it toxic. They look like they're dry running right now. It looks like they're just doing a drill. All right, step one, let's practice how well Juicy and Josh can open the Kennel's wall despite it being minced up. Really well. Full marks, 10 out of 10. Let's see how well the players can take control of construction and master with only 3 of them over there. And really well. Let's see if they can hold their flanks. They do. And then the execute, almost unnecessary at that point. Knights seem to know everything that was happening all at once. And the only thing I regret is the fact that we couldn't see all of those drones and which player was on those drones. I'm going to have to watch back the replays later, because massive credit to Knights. They are just a team functioning like clockwork.
Yeah.
Pun intended.
We're going to be hitting those all season long, baby. All season long.
I just love that North Lane song so much, man.
It is so good. If you haven't checked it out, folks, you need to go and listen to it. The theme song for Oceanic Nationals, Clockwork by North Lane. An absolute banger. You know what? I will be completely honest here. To step away from this game for 2 seconds, the tone that it sets for this broadcast is beautiful. It really encapsulates what we've tried to do and what these teams are trying to do as well. So, honestly, we were sitting here within that first little minute right before we came on cameras, and I was jamming out. Absolutely jamming out to that video.
Yeah, I was just singing it full pelt, man. Just getting so
hear.
hyped up.
What are you telling me? I could hear. I could hear all of it.
There's nothing quite like a pre-broadcast sing. But just to get back into it, we were talking about the drones, and that's exactly what Knights are doing. Once again, that beautiful drone in blue on top of that giant utility machine. And Josh uses that information to find that kill as Elevate get a little bit too aggressive. Speaking of, Digital starts to push up the main stairs. Thinks better of it after taking out a drone and being spotted. Now this is the objective that we saw Elevate win last time, very convincingly, but it's not looking to be the same.
No, it really isn't. And, you know, just to bat on with how incredible Knights have really shown and proven to be just a simple thing. You know, they've lost 3 drones and they have so much intel. You have no doubt that all of their flanks are being watched. But this is I feel like this is a little bit better for Elevate. They haven't completely opened up those hatches. It does look like a very different approach from Knights. We're not seeing them as heavy in kitchen as what we saw the previous time, nor toward main stairs. But that can all change in a heartbeat. Haywood, oh, trying to trim the hair of Worthy there. Doesn't turn out to be all that fruitful, but now they've got that verticality.
Funnily enough, if I'm not wrong, Elevate aren't bringing the impacts on digital. They've got that bulletproof camera instead, and as we can see in the top right-hand corner. So they're not actually looking to deny the kitchen hatch. I was going to say that, you know, with the Hibana ban and the way that Elevate had 4 impacts last time, I thought they would play to deny the kitchen hatch. Don't worry about denying the kitchen hatch, deny the kitchen door. Haywood shut down by the newest member of Elevate, and he's also going to go rotate his shield as well.
Huge.
This is a big play late in the round. Let's see if Fisho can get it down.
Oh, I love that from Fisho. Risks one of the smoke babes. Okay, I don't love that as much, but at the very least, it gives him the room now. What's Fisho going to look to do? Juicy, aware of what is going on, pinched between a rock and a hard place. There's got the feet holes, sorry, that he needs to be cautious of. And Fisho with the shotgun in the close corner. Can't finish him off just yet. It pushes him back. He continues to progress, and they're not going to be able to stop it. It's shotgun mania here for Elevate. And that's the round that they will be clawing for. 2-2, back and forth we go.
What a final part of the round there for Elevate. They just pushed the aggression right back onto the Knights. Knights had that early advantage. They had that opening pick from Josh over at blue, and then they rotated, not really sure what the plan was. It looked like they were just going for the same attack that they've tried the previous 2 attacks onto that bomb site, but it did not work. Elevate found their pick back again through the floor. This one right here, Fisho says hello and goodbye, and then right at the end of it as well, Knights, the oversight not to watch for this aggression. Not enough players to do so either. Elevate step up and step in to punish them.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
And they just have to ride this wave. They have to ride this wave. They have to continue to use this momentum and use this pacing. Because right now, I'm not going to say Knights are on the back foot necessarily, but a round like that would 100% give you that motivation, give you that hype to continue to take it to the next level. And this defense has to be a lot better. It came down to a 2 versus 3 in favor of Knights. Elevate managed to claw it back into a 2 versus 1, and Sage just did what Sage does. He turns it on, and away he goes.
Certainly was a 1v2.
Attackers objective.
Sealed the deal, but it was definitely a back and forth round. Earlier in that, I thought that Knights had the advantage. Then, as you say, Elevate fought it back. Knights, or rather Sage, locked it in. Well, see, one of the things I love about Knights is just they've changed so much as a team. In fact, they look completely different. So the team we were talking about a year ago, this aggressive team that we knew them for their good gunplay, that was the thing that made Knights special. They liked that early aggression, but now Knights are honestly one of the most methodical teams in OCN.
Yeah.
But with some incredibly talented individual players, and the way that they work together is just exemplary and no doubt the best in the Oceanic region at this point.
And that's the thing, now that they have that title, and I think we can all agree they have that title, they 100% need to prove it and continue to prove it, just as we've seen Wildcard do for the better part of 12 months now. So let's just wait and see. Very early days, but this would be the tone to set. This would be the benchmark. And with how many games Knights and Elevate have been able to play recently, and how really dominant Knights have continued to be. This one is kind of the cherry on top. Well, hang on. Juicy, nice and early in. And still one player. I don't know whether they're still... Oh,
the aggression?
Wow, did you see that? No.
Oh,
Okay.
that was so damn close. God Legion swings it, and he gets a second as well. What is that?
Oh.
Peeking out when put under the pump, he says, "Nah, this is my room."
God. God Legion. That is just... Okay. Wrap her up. Put a fork in it. We are done for this round. Sage looking to take a peek here at this point. Do you just play aggressive and see what you're given? Because my word, he hasn't even noticed that Vast is still in the corner. God Legion on a quad kill now. The ace is on. And it's just Haywood to deny him.
Surely he goes for it. He's going for it. God Legion ready to swing it. And he's gonna peek the ace from God Legion to get Elevate back into it.
That is what we... Oh, listen to them. Nom, nom, noms. Oh, my word. That is what we love to see. God Legion chewing every single piece. Not once did he play with his food, and he swallowed it whole. That is a sign of confidence.
Massive round from God Legion. Not a lot you can say about it. He stepped up hugely. And I really like the way he tempted with Fate on that early peek out of cash into CCTV. He just checked, little peek at a time. Is anyone contesting me here? Is anyone watching this? And as soon as he realized that Juicy didn't have adequate cover, he committed. Not only did he commit for the peek onto Juicy, but he also had the gusto to go for the player out on the balcony as well. And, well, smart play for when the third kill, right? He was using Vast in a crossfire, so he wasn't even greedy. It was just that last one when you could just palpably feel God Legion is calling for the ace. And he got it. Well deserved.
Goodness me, Knights. This is where they need to shine. Not very often have we seen teams be...
10 seconds remaining.
I'm going to say this, showing this much pressure so early on, but
5 seconds.
this is where we know that they tend to come alive, and come alive they must. For OCN, your very first Playday, you are going to want to make sure that you convert this. Just as we've seen Rafflecopter off to a good start. Set the tone early, set the pace early. You'll always be clear and on the run here. But great signs for Elevate here on the defensive half. And that, I think, is the key, Dev. Defensive half.
That's it. Now Knights fighting from behind to hopefully even this up. Concussion comes through. The nade... Oh, the concussion missed the drone hole. Won't have burned that ADS. The nade is the idea to follow on through, I believe. Juicy has to work once again on this wall. We commended his effort in the past at doing this. Josh really concerned about that aggression coming out from Garage. Juicy fighting for dear life to deal with this wall, and he still hasn't done it. Where's he missing? Is it at the top? Someone's pinging the top. Josh seems to think so. Juicy convinced it's at the bottom. This is a bit of a desperate battle, and Juicy so scared. He thinks it's fruitless. He's checking the top. He knows if he goes for it, his feet will be exposed for so long. Gets up on the rappel, hopefully trying to finish off that wall. This is, I think he was trying to go for a Michelangelo and ended up with the Picasso. Not the intention behind it, but he finally gets the job done.
It's taken long enough, and the very least, we can now move forward. In the meantime, though, Knights have been taking a lot of the pressure across into logistics, into con, which is good. You can see God Legion on main stairs still looking for that flank. Last time he went for this, he got absolutely clapped. Not even a chance at doing the damage, but that intel could have been huge had he been able to spot that one out. Haywood again opening the bank account. Such a phenomenal player. just batting home how good individually the Knights are.
But all of these rounds that Elevate have stolen away have been on the back of big plays from individuals. We saw the massive round from Fisho in Moto, and then, of course, God Legion stepping it up hugely on the round just prior. Fisho guy in a rock and a hard place, feeling the pressure from all sides, and the Knights just collapse for another flawless round.
That is typical Knights. They do their due diligence and they absolutely slap them around. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to a short break. We'll have the second half for you on the other side. Great signs for Elevate early on here. However, Knights, they're not giving up without a fight. And that last round, Dev, I think that just really shows how good Knights are and how consistently they play. No matter what you throw at them, they will find a way to adapt. And it just brings home why we consider them to be the best team in OCE.
Have two flawless rounds as well in the half. Knights are certainly fulfilling the expectation, the massive burden that we have put on their shoulders to storm through the OCN. But of course, it is a 3-3, Rob, and Elevate did take that lead at one point. They've looked pretty strong, despite this being a fairly new rework to their roster, adding Fisho guy. We saw Hotshot depart the roster. He actually was playing just earlier tonight in the first game. But for Elevate, it's not just having a new player come on through. It's, I think, a larger structural change to the team and a bit of a reinvigoration. Elevate were very much in a rut, and they bring in two players from being Fisher Guy and Molosca, who's now support staff, from a team that was at their peak, really. Meloncat was doing amazing things. They had the best run of any Oceanic team in the 6 Invitational qualifiers. But unfortunately, they did disband, and now their skill has joined forces with Elevate, and I think that that is the key, the secret to them getting in. And while Elevate did lose to the Knights on Thursday, they're looking decent here. Yes, 3-3 half is not terrible, but I think that Elevate have a serious shot here still.
I agree, and I think just to kind of hone in on that, there's been a lot of pressure on Elevate's back for the last 2 seasons. You know, Pro League, before we changed to the new format that we have, they came second when they were fighting, I believe, against, if I'm not mistaken, Fnatic, Okami back then, and Wildcard, who were all arguably at their peaks, really. They were all firing on all cylinders. So there's definitely been a lot of pressure that they would be feeling to have backed that result up. And as a result, it's definitely been I would say, a rough road for them. Now with this, it's a completely new year, completely new season. They get to start all over again, and this is what we wanted to see from them. Just making sure that they back up what we know they can do.
There's the Knights charm as well on Josh. Lovely to see. Job here for Digital is to open this floor, put pressure downstairs. Very ambitious of Elevate to look to take Kitchen, especially as, well, Hibana is banned. It makes it so difficult to open up that hatch, but they are committing. Bringing the buck is very much a sign of that. He's safer than the Sledge when it comes to the threat from C4s. And here comes that first Selma from the Ace. I believe Josh is the player with the impacts, and he's nowhere nearby. Not even going to try and impact trick that hatch. So Elevate are setting up very well for a kitchen take.
C4 off the board unless previously used, so that's a good way to start with 20 seconds. And now you will see God Legion tempt fate a little bit here. start to push in a little bit deeper. Sage now, he is stuck. He's going to have to go for an aggressive play. Worthy's starting to get the diffuser down. God Legion's taken all of the attention away. They have not been able to deny it, but that's what we needed to see from Knights. How quick are these trades coming in? Digital now, he needs to be controlled. He needs to be calm and composed. He has the high ground advantage. Absolutely no need for him to try and play aggressive here. Just take your time. There's a 7-second defuse being stuck.
The gas!
He needs to take the engagement. He'll be able to find the one. Got to be careful as he backs up into it. And Josh, he has no choice but to try and stick it in. Oh no, Digital! What's happened?
Digital! No!
How? Has he done that? Everything he could have wanted, everything he could have needed, Dev. What?
And he takes it like a champ. What a clutch from Josh. The 2 versus 1 did not pan out how Knights had hoped for. Digital played it so well, but it just was not enough. He ran out of bullets. He didn't have the holes, couldn't get the angle. And that's the problem. He was standing right above the holes. You can't aim directly downwards. He couldn't hit him. And just look at the shots pummeling into Josh's hand. 25 HP, takes it like a champ, and clutches the round.
Oh my word. Talking about Digital. Such an unlucky set of circumstances there. And now, that was the round for me. That was the round that Elevate needed to start things off in the right motion, in the right way. But they don't have a choice. This is it. They just have to move on. They have to focus on what will be a CCTV and cash attack. But by all means, Dev, it was pretty impressive. The way they were able to take that fight to Knights, open things up, get that diffuser down, just didn't tidy up.
A lot of things went right there for Elevate, for sure. I think Digital was really good in that early round. He scared off Knights from contesting, and Elevate managed to open that hatch. But yeah, all in the retake there for Knights. Really good job to bring it back to that even man count and manage to clutch it at the end from the 1v1. But we go, we move, we continue on. Elevate, can't dwell too much on the past. And in the past, it was teams like Meloncat, where Fisher Guy used to call his home, that did somewhat struggle from, people called it, you know, the throwing curse, or the curse of getting a little bit tilted. And I think that Elevate, or rather Meloncat, did start to really reinvent themselves and figure out how to get past that curse. And hopefully that's something that Molosca and Fisho have brought to the team to help them get past from moments like that, which would otherwise be incredibly confronting and incredibly detrimental to the performance of the team for the remaining rounds.
Hard agree. Hard agree. It's taken a minute. They have finally been able to let loose and open up CCTV wall. Got a lot more to do, though. I don't know where they're... Okay, so they have no control of logistics or con yet. For me, that's a bit of an issue. If that's where they're going to try to add a little bit more pressure, they haven't been able to force out Haywood either. Time is running pretty thin here.
That's one big difference between these two teams. We commended Juicy and Josh together when they were attacking this objective, the way that they pushed and dealt with the Kennels Wall themselves very early on, while the other 3 players on the squad took control of Master, Logistic, etc. It saved a lot of time. Now, fortunately for Elevate, there's no one contesting this side of the map, so they take it for free and make up for that lost time without wasting too many seconds.
There we are at the minute mark. Finally got control.
Oh, okay. That smoke was just to waste any ADS there, and the nade was to follow through and clear that Electroclaw, but it did miss. Went far too deep. You can see the explosion on the right-hand side of your screen for where it hit. Fisher Guy's now just looking for that Electroclaw so he can ping it out. I think he spotted it. I think it's actually on the south side of that wall in CCTV itself. Perhaps it's below. You can see it pinged out now. Can't quite see exactly where it landed. They're going to be looking for it and hopefully to clear that one so they can breach this wall. 25 seconds, finally they do, and this is going to have to be a rush to execute, but the impact!
This is massive. This is huge from Knights. Look how much time they have delayed. Nothing left for Elevate. They have to funnel through the choke points, and they have no choice but to try and take fights that are not in their favor. Knights, that is how you defend CCTV and Cash. Elevate struggled from the first minute to the last second.
There are so many different layers of that from Knights, and the moral of the story, or not so much the moral, but the key element of that story was all about the hard breach. We saw it at the start. We talked about how long it took for Elevate to breach open Kennel's wall. In partial, thanks to Knights not only cheese gratering up the wall with the shotgun to make it hard to Maverick, but also the gases came out as well, meaning that Maverick had to lay on back for a minute and let that smoke dissipate before giving it another go. And you add to that the other layer of once Elevate finally did open Kennels, they rotate over and try and breach Con into Cash. Not only have they got to deal with that Electroclaw, which took the better part of a minute, but after that, there's another layer. There's still those impact grenades. Knights just completely outdid Elevate, and it just left no time left for that execute.
Really hammering that nail in for Knights now. Perfect position for them to be in. We may well see another 7-3 victory for Knights, 7-4, but it just... After so many close rounds for Elevate, you know, it should realistically be 5-3 now. We're talking about a 2-on-1 in the first half where Sage was able to bring that back. We're then talking about the 2-on-1 for the first round of their attacking half where Digital just couldn't find that kill. It's just small margins. It's the 1%ers that continue to do the damage. And it is really what has been at the forefront for Elevate. Just converting the 1%ers, those big rounds when you need to.
That's turned this seemingly very closely matched game into one that Knights has begun to run away with on their defense. That's the thing, newer teams and teams that have made significant roster changes and revamps to how they play the game, such as Elevate, they do tend to be a little bit slower because there are more words that have to come through in the communication, because you don't quite have that natural chemistry that builds up over a long period of time of playing with the same people where things can be unsaid. You just know that that player is going to do that because they always do. Instead, you have to communicate it. You have to spend more time. You have to communicate more things on the fly, not as much as pre-prepared. And that time, it starts to sink away. And Elevate have been running out of time.
Attackers have located a bomb.
And this is much better. Like clockwork from Fisho Guy this round. Both reinforcements have been open by the minute 15 mark. Just what you love to see. Sage will more than likely just sit, bide his time. Oh, God. See you later, Alligator. God Legion. What a haircut.
Dino certainly cooked up a storm right there. And, oh, man, Knights are firmly in control of this one. The pressure from Elevate to place on the east side of the map, on Kennels, on construction, it's just gone. And so much control still for the Knights. Elevate desperately trying to see what they can do. Now Fisho cautious of the presence of Dino here in CCTV. 57 seconds and there just aren't enough options open for Elevate. So Digital decides to make some. And Fisho gets it on at 2, but 2 players down. It's suddenly a 2 versus 2. Hayward desperately coming back to sight.
They have to be so careful here now, Elevate. They have what they need, and all it is Dino in a 1 versus 3 to bring it back. And that's a nice way to start. My God, don't give Dino the inch. He's looking for everything right now. They pull off the diffuser. Both players low at this point. Still continuing to bait him out. He slows down. Look at the patience from him. He is on point. He knows full well that if he can find the kill, he isolates a 1v1. But what a decision from Elevate.
What a great way to just pump up and fire on all cylinders. We said they had no control after losing God Legion of Cash, Kennels, etc. That entire side of the map, which is always your secondary point of ingress. Elevate decided to just commit. Knights were spread too thin. Elevate found that weakest link in the chain and sent it in through the Jacuzzi breach. It worked so well. They read it so well. They played patiently when they needed to. And they reeled it back in, took out the Knights. Excellent work from Elevate. And it's moments like that, Rob, that really start to see the potential of this roster.
Yep.
And this reinvigoration that they've had merging with Meloncat.
You just hope, you kind of sit there and hope that this is the turning point for Elevate, that this is the point where we look at them and, you know, because what we have to do is we have to look at the bigger picture, right? And the biggest picture for me, Elevate, they're in APAC South. They have an incredible opportunity to show what they can do at a much higher level. And it comes from the national leagues, which is OCN, which is what we are watching right now, what we are witnessing. Elevate, how they adapt, how they continue to improve as a team, because we know it's a long year ahead. And they need to get the small things right. They need to understand what the dynamics are in the team. And so far, I would say that this has looked like a much different and much better Elevate than what we've seen for the past 12 months.
No doubt about it. Elevate have taken themselves and had a good hard look at the ugly bits and started to touch them up. And while it hasn't been a long time, they are absolutely on the right track. And while there are some moments of woe, you know, we're looking at Digital right now. He had a great last round, very impactful, but he did lose that 1 versus 1 clutch that we thought was so winnable for him. And no doubt that weighs on his mind. We like to rag on him, have a bit of fun with him because he's such a larrikin, such a funny character. But also, you've got to make sure that if you're Digital, you don't let that kind of banter and get to you.
Well, somewhat of a cast a curse, not talking about Vast himself, but Digital of the teammate of, and Vast, after winning a couple of 1v1s early on, hasn't had the full impact that we would have liked. That's once again a big opening for Knights. That's the sledge off the board. Obviously not all the soft breach potential, so no harm, no foul, but still a fair bit that kind of is ripped away with a player like Vast falling so early. Josh as well in such a... Oh my...
Oh, perfect!
Oh, Dev, how dangerous was that?
They must have known. It looked like from our side, Josh was in a power position and they had no idea. He had so much utility in his pocket. 2 impacts and 4 were my discs. And I thought, look, it's worth it if they don't get to use that utility, if he still makes a play here. But clearly, Elevate, they had the info, they had a hidden drone. And God Legion sends in the concussion. Immediately, the P comes through from Fisho. Josh didn't know what hit him.
I'll tell you what hit him. It was the hard brick wall from Fisho. Just absolute boink on the head. And now, maybe a little bit more uncomfortable. They're going to start to push into dirt a little bit more. That was not reinforced, sorry, I should say, which is a layup. A deep push here from Elevate, Dev.
Look at this commitment. 2 players from Elevate sending it deep. That's the kill! The double from God Legion, looking for another. He gets traded, but this is everything Elevate needed. They drop the kitchen hatch, and they're ready to make a play, but the C4 stops them dead in their tracks. It's all on Haywood now in the 1v2.
Attackers have recovered
Well,
their diffuser. A
they don't have the ash wall open. The rotates too hard. Fisho's watching down the line. How good is that from Elevate? What a call, Dev. What a play. And the commitment is second to none.
After looking like this, it slipped right through their fingers. Elevate bring themselves back into it. We're even 5-5. The next team to get around confirms themselves at least 1 point from tonight's game, as they have guaranteed at least overtime. Look at that nasty shot from God Legion. We've already seen him cop an ace in the game earlier today, and he's still bringing that fire. Great shot at the end from Fisho as well, holding the long angle to make sure there was no chance Haywood was clutching that Elevate certainly came back in that.
Bringing it back full circle as well, Dev. You highlighted God Legion as one of those impactful players for Elevate in the lineups, and you know, we were talking about what would happen if he was able to kind of hit his performance tonight, and that's it. That's what you're after from a player like God Legion. I think, you know, 12-7 aside, an incredible game so far, but it is really in those moments, in those power play moments. They lose that there at 6-4. If he can't find the kills there, that dirt, that tunnel push gets nullified really quickly. And it's just the confidence. This is what we saw from God Legion. I want to say this time last year was that confidence, was that ability. And he's shown signs of it throughout Six Masters, throughout OCN Stage 2 in 2020. And this is setting a precedence that I absolutely love.
But God's definitely one of those big players, always been big name in the oceanic scene. Incredibly talented player, and I'm really glad to see he's overcoming his demons and getting straight back into it, which is what Knights are going to need to do right here, right now. Cash is the objective. Now, they've won this once, and they haven't lost it a single time. Only that one round we've seen it played, and it was a very convincing one. Elevate just too slow. They couldn't deal with the wall denial at all, especially when it came to that construction side. Too many layers from Knights, but I think it's a different story this round. Elevate already looking much stronger.
I would definitely agree with that. I mean, we were looking at the 2-minute mark, and they still had an open CCTV wall. This time, they're going to look to put a little bit more pressure into Garage, which is something that we kind of missed in that last round. They put a lot of focus and attention across to Con once they had CCTV open, and this way they'll be able to kind of best. Oh, that's going to be nice from Sage. Didn't make it in time. No, doesn't look like it did, and that is going to be both Selma charges, or the one Selma charge, but two charges being blown off.
Interesting. Usually you see the hard hold from the Wamai playing on the rafters itself, but Sage now falling back to red, abandons that position at bottom garage, leaving Hayward to his own devices to hold. Knights looking to shape up for this garage take. Worthy sends forth the drone. Fisho going to the garage door. He's going to take this gunfight with Hayward. Hopefully some utility to support. Hayward safe and toasty behind this ADS for now.
Key word there, for now. Starting to get those shots just coming in a little bit closer. He's going to have pressure from about 3 different angles, but we've seen so many highlight plays from here. Hayward, he just needs to stay alive. Look at that. That's what you love to see, Dev. An absolute funnel of utility, and dealt with not even peeking, not even showing a body.
That was textbook from Elevate. So good, and Hayward goes down. 30 seconds left, and once again, time is the enemy. 5 versus 4, and Worthy preparing for this execute. He goes in, 20 seconds remaining. Fast, wasting time, pushing up red for the double, and he goes straight on into Cash. The 3K from the captain, and it's all on Dino in the 1 versus 3. Diffuser knocked down. Vast is hungry for more. Digital closes it down, and Elevate push to match points.
Fast is an animal. Elevate hitting new heights here in the first Playday of Oceanic Nationals. That is another level. We are seeing something completely different, a new beast altogether. This is promising. A triple kill on the entry. I thought Josh had made that possible with that double C4 kill, but given absolutely no room to move whatsoever. And Knights, they have to go to the basement. And that vigil, this is going to be interesting.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being
Massive
defused by
moment
attackers.
for the Knights, for all that we have hyped them up. This game, they now have the onus on them to push overtime. This game would already be over had we seen that round from Digital go his favor in that 1v1. when Josh pulled off that cheeky defuse. If that had gone to Elevate, this game would already be over, and Elevate would have locked in their revenge for their match against Knights from last Thursday in APAC South. But Knights, they are certainly on the back foot, and I can guarantee they are taking this match seriously. They're going to push hard to get those 2 points that are still on the line for them.
The signs that are being shown excite me beyond belief. For so long, Elevate have remained dormant in terms of really the impactful games, the impactful rounds. And now coming to a head. And this is something we saw Knights do very early on when they know they've got the room to move. You can see Vast's pre-placed drone there. They waste no time in getting in. At the very least, cutting off some of these lines. Quite a heavy roam here from Knights at the moment with 3 players up in and around Con.
Very much an intel denial focused roam with the Mute and the Mozzie and the Vigil, but no castle. So does mean that Elevate can open up those long lines of sight with relative ease, cut off the rotations from these Knights players, potentially leaving the opportunity for Elevate to try and focus their push onto site and prevent the retreat from these Knights players.
They have to identify that though. Worthy, huge pick onto Dino. That's the leader. That's the figurehead of Knights gone. And with this now, they have the man advantage. They just need to ensure they don't crumble.
Dancing with death is Josh as he takes out another drone. Haywood finally gets one back for the Knights. Josh still upstairs. It's a waiting game, and Elevate are so patient.
Sage just making it around the corner in time. Josh's rotate is still not caught. A great trade from God Legions. It's left, right, and center. 2 players fall for Elevate. They had it in their grasp. And it's all on to Worthy and Digital to make up for his previous mistake. Josh goes low. Digital cannot fall here. Worthy doubles down with him. And now with 50 seconds, Dev, they have all the time in the world.
But it will start to slip away gradually. 1 player on each team low HP. Worthy full. Being live droned in by Digital, sees the stray bullets from 1 player and starts to try to breach onto the site, but the Mute Jammer impedes his path. Juicy's so low, but starts to get those gas canisters out. 25 seconds. This is going to have to be massive from Elevate to win the game outright.
Match point, and they head to the kitchen hatch to make this work. There is a flash that's caught Worthy, and Haywood's going to go aggressive here. He gets my God! Now it's into a 1 versus 2. Juicy with the SMG-11. They've got no clue where he is. He hides in the smoke. He finds the first. Ringer, right. Even Worthy manages to catch him. Elevate for the first time in over 6 games defeat the Knights.
A stellar performance from Elevate. This fresh roster, this amalgamation, it works. And they catch up to the Knights with plenty of time. What a game and what a rivalry is developing. The most anticipated team in Oceania of 2021 has gone down to Elevates.
My word. What a game. What a tone that has been set here in the first Playday. Knights crumble and Elevate. They climb and continue to climb that mountain. Dev, so many key factors, so many pivotal rounds there for Elevate to bring that back. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say that that is one of the best games I've seen played from Elevate. They had 2 extra chances at grabbing a 2v1 and that 1v1 from Digital that weren't confirmed. That could have been a 7-4, 7-3 kind of match in Elevate's favor. What a performance.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. That was a fantastic game. One of the most exciting ones that I've casted in a very long time. Elevate gave it their all, and I can't believe, Rob, that this is only Playday 1 of OCN. We have so much more to come. I am just out of my mind excited right now.
I believe there's 7 more or 6 more play days to go for Elevate. And like we were just saying, the tone's been set. We have now hit a new height for Elevate. And I think that from Knight's perspective, obviously that is a huge loss for them. When we're looking at the grand scheme of things, we have been saying this entire broadcast and beforehand as well that really Knights are who we are looking to be the #1 team in Oceania. Have they just been challenged? That's the real question.
It's going to be hugely difficult now for the Knights to stay on the top, at least out of the regular season, keeping in mind that you've got teams like Order, now Elevate clearly posing a prominent threat, and Wildcard. These are the main teams that we've talked about, but Knights have just missed out on 3 whole points. They didn't even push overtime and get the 1 consolation point. Elevate have run away with all 3, and now honestly, if Elevate can deal with Wildcard like they did at the Wrecked Omen Gauntlet, then it's just Order that is standing between Elevate and finishing the season as #1. That is insane.
That is absolutely insane. And I think overall, Elevate have played out of their minds. And you know what we love to do when we see something like this happen? We love to hear it from the horse's mouth. Let's bring in the horse himself, Digital.
Boys,
Horsey
boys.
What
Lads, how
a
are we?
victory, my friend. I'm going to give
my
you the
God.
floor right now. What I honestly, from our side, from Dev and I's side, we're almost speechless. What a game, mate.
Yeah, what a game. Individually, my heart's beating, my heart's beating so fast because I felt like I was in like 8 of those clutches, 2 of which I lost, and what a game. Like I'm glad that we won. Like that's pretty much, yeah, I'm just glad we won. Credit to the boys. It's really easy, like two rounds down to like just, lose the mental game, especially after like that clutch that I lost. It's like really easy, but you just got to rally the boys and say it is what it is, and it's exactly what we did. And we went on to win the next 4. So, credit to the boys. We all played really well.
That was so insane, dude. I'm no doubt there were some mean comments in chat when you missed that clutch, but I know you can take it. You're such a lad. But
Bring
to
it
come
on.
back and win 4 attacks in a row, dude, that is insane. What has happened with Elevate? This roster, you've been through it thick and thin. You bring on Fisher, you bring on Milo, you bring on the Melon Cat guys, and you start to reinvent the squad. What's it like? What's happening down in the trenches?
What's changed? I don't know. We've always aimed to like what we're working towards now, of like creating like a roster that's capable of calling and working together really well. Not having these premeditated pushes, but then also being able to adapt. Pretty much what any team wants to become. That's what we've always wanted to become, and I feel like getting Fish Show sort of fast track that progress. And yeah, within the short amount of time that we've had with him, we've really confident, and we're loving the results. And the potential's it's unmatched to anything we've had before. So just really excited. Just for the future.
And I'm going to hone it in a little bit more specific for this. 6 games plus it's been since you've been able to take any kind of result away from the Knights. There's been some close ones, but this is the big one. Tell me what it means. What does it feel like to take down Knights, especially after, realistically playing them on 2 different occasions in the last 4 weeks?
It feels good. Like, wins always feel good, and that's exactly what it feels like. I can't really elaborate on that. Yeah, I don't know. Just
no salt in the wounds for me.
Nah. Yeah, that's all I've got to say.
All right.
Well, what I'm going to say, dude, is that was so amazing. That was such a pleasure to watch. You guys really put on a show, and I just can't wait to see what you guys are doing next week.
And
Thanks,
I'll let
boys.
you have the floor for one final time, mate. Anything you got to say?
Yeah, look. Cheers for watching, guys. You're probably on the spot there, Rob. Cheers for watching, boys. Appreciate it. Catch us whenever our next game is. I actually don't know. It's soon though. Our schedule's it's tomorrow. What am I saying? It's tomorrow.
Yes, it's tomorrow night, mate. You're correct. You know what? We're gonna.
It's Blitz, so you just forget the university.
We're gonna cut you off there. We're gonna cut you off. We've obviously thrown you on the spot, mate. I thought you were a character.
Thanks.
Go play some alternate frisbee, and we'll see you tomorrow, mate.
Oh, I'm still throwing, aren't I, boys? I'm still throwing. I'm keeping that mean up. So managed to win and keep up the idea of me throwing. So there we go.
You're a legend, mate. You're a legend. All right, mate. We'll catch you tomorrow. My goodness, what an absolute character! You gotta love him.
What a content machine he is.
Oh my God, so many good results from that game. Honestly, it really excites me to see what's coming up, especially for all of the matches that we're going to kind of get to develop all the storylines. But this storyline in itself is utterly incredible. God Legion, 13-8, really put the team on the shoulders for a lot of those big, impactful plays, Dev.
100%. You know, 5 of those kills were in the ace. He was very hot on the entries as well. Digital might be at the bottom of the scoreboard, but you know, credit to him. He still had a great performance. There were some really impactful plays from him, and of course, a lot of the results don't always line up in the statistics. Now, just keep in mind that it's the Elevate roster who's next to the Knights logo and vice versa. So it's the Elevate boys on the top there.
Yeah.
Great game. Just really can't get over it, honestly. So good.
That one's gonna sit in my memory for a very long time. I think Juicy's someone we can highlight for Knights that I think we may have expected a little bit more from there. You know, not even just necessarily the entries. You know, going -3, just felt like there were a couple of issues, which I think will be tidied up really quickly.
Well, you want to add to that the fact that Knights had actually 2 flawless rounds across their attack and some other really strong defenses as well. Some rounds that were almost flawless. So despite falling here to Elevate, Knights have so much positive feedback to take away from that match, which is no doubt harder for them because they look at a lot of those rounds and they're like, no, we did everything right here and it was perfect. But there are some crucial moments there that cost Knights the game and that Elevate took with both hands.
They certainly did. They took with both hands and they ran away, which is what we're going to do right now. We're going to run away to a short break, but on the other side, we've got Order taking on Wildcard. We'll see you then.